Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever it is, wherever you are. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Backlog Busting Project. We are now episode 4 of Metal Gear Solid Month. This will be the episode for Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. My name is Wes. With me, as always, is Randy.
And I am so excited for this episode. Listen, I played this game once, and I loved it. And it's been, 7 years. I can do math. 7 years since I played this game. Maybe 6. I don't think I got it when it first came out. I think it was later. But anyways, 6-7 years since I played this game. And my knowledge of it has waned, and, the internet and its sourness has kind of made me go, it wasn't that great of a game. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that we've done this, and I could relive how amazing this game is.
I wouldn't go quite as far as you on, this project rekindling my love for Metal Gear Solid 4, because, I can definitely see some of the points people raise against it, but at the same time, it's not, absolutely god dog shit awful either.
Well, you bring up these points to me, and I'm going to argue them today.
So Metal Gear Solid 4 is basically, you can tell it's basically Kojima wanting to tie a knot on the series so he could try to go do something else.
Yeah,
because
we've talked about this a lot, where, Kojima wasn't a big fan of doing a sequel for this stuff, and Konami's really just pushed it, and obviously that's probably a lot of where the issues between those two come from.
Yeah,
whatever. We don't want to get into that argument again.
Yeah,
but for somebody that doesn't want to do the series anymore, goddamn, can he make good games out of it?
Yeah. Well, what is it? Like, he said Metal Gear Solid 2 was going to be his last one, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 was going to be his last one, and then Metal Gear Solid 4 was going to be his last one, and he would take a back seat for, the original prototype of Rising,
But I will say, this game, and I'm sorry, Kojima, and I know they've already split and whatever, and because I believe the 5th one is after the handheld one. That we're getting ready to start
Peace Walker.
Peace Walker. The 5th one is after Peace Walker, right?
Yes.
So, in Peace Walker, they've already, Zero and Big Boss have already had their issues.
If I'm remembering the timeline correctly, yes.
I want to do that. I want a game that is based around the beginning of the Patriots. Mm-hmm. I want that. I don't know if it could really be a sneaking thing, because it seems like it'd be more of a political game. Mm-hmm. But I want to know that story better.
Oh, man. Hideo Kojima trying to do a politics simulator. Ugh, there's...
Well, it doesn't even have to be a simulator, but you know what I'm talking about. I want to get more into that other than in the middle of talky bits.
Right. Well, so, yeah, I can see that. To get back to Guns of the Patriots, though.
Yes.
Game starts out with, Solid Snake, who's suddenly, badass grandpa with a math teacher's mustache, standing at the grave of the boss, actually, and saluting. And a helicopter comes in, and Otacon tells him, "Hey, we've found liquid." And so they've tracked him to the Middle East. So you basically start to infiltrate the Middle East on orders from not a colonel anymore, Campbell. Roy Campbell.
That's a great name. I like
it. Who is working as a liaison to the UN, basically. And he basically goes, "We need you to stop liquid. Whatever he's doing is not good." So you go to the Middle East, and it's Act 1 is very much an introduction to the type of game they wanted to do, because it is a very different experience from any previous Metal Gear game. That it drops you right into the middle of a battlefield, and instead of a secluded little faraway spot from the main place of action, and you're expected to just hit the ground running stealth-wise, which was kind of an interesting little change up, so to speak.
But I liked it.
Yeah, I know.
But I will say one of the things I did notice in Act 1 that kind of made me worried about the stealth in the game is, again, especially the beginning of Act 1 is very much, introducing you to stuff. But there were a couple points where I felt like there was something that happened on the screen where the game went, well, we're pretty sure you're taking this route. So all of a sudden, a guard will get thrown up against the wall and shot or whatever, like right in front of you. So it was like things were preset for that stuff instead of, and it doesn't happen very much later in the game, but it did have me worried. I was like, oh, is everything going to get preset here? And like, does it want me to go down a certain path?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So you continue your mission, and your first objective is after recovering your gear is to meet up with your informant. That turns out to be Meryl Silverberg, who is now in command of a unit called Rat Patrol 01.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, just about every time Rat Patrol 01 is on screen, it is goddamn amazing in one way or another. Where it's amazingly hilarious, or just plain badass, or
which is it's kind of
amazingly Kojima in the case of Johnny Sasaki.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because they're so awesome, and it's only because of two characters.
Yeah,
2 of their 4 members were just so quiet and reserved, other than the dude that had the exclamation mark.
That was amazing. Yeah, if you even look at him in first person, he'd go. You get the alert sound and the exclamation point. Yeah,
But yeah, Johnny Sasaki's awesome, and I'm so glad they gave him, that backstory to a character that you've seen all over the place, and
usually shitting his guts out.
Yes, and then it's great to see Meryl back. That's what this game is. It's a nostalgia trip.
Yeah,
for any
it's weaponized nostalgia,
absolutely.
Basically,
but
for pretty much the entire game.
But every single character has a purpose, and it's believable, and Meryl is no longer
the doe-eyed rookie from Shadow Moses,
and she's not even associating with her father, Campbell, and all this stuff is going on, and she's now in charge of stuff, and you can definitely see the difference in her. So I love all of that, and I agree with you that the Rat Patrol was a great part of the game.
Yeah. So you meet up with them. Ocelot's like super troops find you. The frogs, the all-female like cyborgs, basically. And there's this amazing little sequence where you run back down to the building, firefighting with the frogs for a while, and you get out of there, and Meryl points you towards where you need to go. And another thing is, I love the interactions between Meryl and Snake in this game, because you can tell Meryl has not quite gotten past Shadow Moses, because she still has an image of Solid Snake as this hero, this legend that she possibly had feelings for, and then all of a sudden, something like 9 years after Shadow Moses, I think it is, here he stands and he looks like he's aged, several decades.
Yeah, so let's bring that up. The reason why it's all of the Fox Die stuff and all genetic, it was more the genetic thing, right? It was he was basically programmed to have an expiration date. Yeah, so
as part of the Les Enfants Terribles project, and this is all information that happens that's given to the player later on in Act 3. But we'll jump around a bit.
Well, this is just, he has the old age stuff, and they're trying to figure it out, and I thought it was before that. I thought Naomi tells him.
No, she doesn't. Well, we're still in Act 1 right now.
I know, but I'm just saying, I think that's where it's told. It doesn't matter. Anyways, it's genetic stuff. You can't have kids. It's all about, he was supposed to be a soldier of war and a puppet and all of that. So that's why he looks so much older, and why they call him Old Snake, which I loved. Yeah.
But, you can tell in most of her interactions she's trying to reach the old Solid Snake she knows, and you can almost feel the disappointment through the screen when she realizes, okay, I'm not getting him back. Like, again, this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but their conversation in Act 3 where she just goes, she finally just goes, you know what? Fine, you're not going to do it our way? Fine, I'm done. And you can almost tell she's like, God damn it, I really wish it hadn't come to this.
Because they're both focused on the same thing, but doing it in different ways, and giant conflicts occurred, and all of that.
So, Act 1, more story set up, basically. You're introduced to the B&B Corps, the Beauty and the Beast Corps.
I loved that scene.
Yeah.
How they introduced all 4 of them all at once, and all the crazy stuff that they did, and
then Screaming Mantis looks straight at you through the 4th wall and takes a bow, and it's like, oh, fuck. But, yeah. And you basically make your way through. You finally catch up to Liquid Ocelot.
Now, hold on. You're missing a key character.
Oh yeah, Drebin.
Don't forget about Drebin. Drebin is awesome, and his monkey is crazier than him.
Yes,
they're addicted to cola, and the monkey
burp
loves
constantly.
It. Yeah, and the monkey loves cigarettes and. Yeah. Has a weird diaper and no, I love Drebin. He's just he appears all the time, but so I want to see what you think about this setup. I think Drebin and the way they set up like ammo and all of that, because basically what happens is he unlocks the guns for you, but they want it to be user friendly, so it just kind of happens. And any guns that you pick up that you already own, the Mach 2 will take off to him and give you points for, and you keep all ammo and stuff. And then you have the store that's always right there that you can get ammo and guns and whatever. Did you make it feel like it made it easier? That you never, ever had to worry about ammo?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially if you played on, I think it's Wednesday and Saturday, you get, deep discounts.
Well, I didn't even need that. I mean, because especially the way you and I play where we're trying not to kill people, I never had to buy guns.
Yeah.
So it was just, I only have 10 bullets left. All right, go in there, buy 150 of them. All right, and move on.
We're done.
I think that kind of took it out of it for me.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that would be only when you saw Drebin. Were you allowed to then buy ammo and stuff, not instantly? So, I mean...
Yeah.
I guess that's a nitpicky thing. But
but it's understandable. It's kind of an immersion ruiner. This talk about Drebin unlocking things for you reminded me, one of the major themes of Metal Gear Solid 4 is information in battlefield control. Because the guns of the Patriots in the title is basically this huge system for controlling every single thing that happens on the battlefield down to the individual soldier. And part of that system is the guns now have tags in them that, read your nanomachines, and if you're not authorized to use the gun, you literally cannot fire. And Drebin's job is to remove that lock.
Yeah. And as you said, it even controls the soldiers, which is a crazy thing in it. So it controls emotion, it controls...
Yeah, suppresses emotion.
Everything, which becomes a huge part in this game about...
in fact, it's basically the very next plot point we're going to discuss here. So you meet up with Drebin, he tells you all this stuff about information control, the gun control system, and he'll launder stuff for you, etc., etc. I have you... Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. That stupid little hand gesture that I can still do almost verbatim.
It's kind of like a one-handed revolver ocelot.
Yeah. We're doing visual jokes in an audio medium.
Hi, guys.
Hi, yeah.
So you finally catch up to Liquid. He's standing, on his little podium thing, watching down on all the soldiers, and then there's Naomi Hunter.
Yep.
Which brings up memories and freaks out Solid Snake a little bit, and then Liquid goes, all right, it's time.
Yeah, activate it.
Yeah.
In one of the badass line reads ever. And so this mysterious system gets activated, and every soldier on the battlefield starts losing their shit. There's screaming and crying and chaos and people forgetting how guns work and using them as clubs, and then fist fights and choking and seizures and all sorts of shit going on.
Yeah, and it turns out that it's basically they've turned off those nanomachines, so all of the suppressed memories and pain and all of that is now coming to the surface and just freaking everyone out.
Right. And so the test kind of goes off, and it's even affecting Snake, even though he has older nanomachines. And Naomi kind of helps him out by dropping off a syringe, which Snake uses that suppresses the nanomachines and lets him get back on his feet. And that's where kind of Act 1 ends, is Liquid gets away.
Yep.
And you're kind of don't know what's going on. You escape out of the Middle East and you go to regroup, and that's where Act 2 starts. And this is where one of my main problems with the game happens. For some reason, when this game first came out, I believe now when they patched in trophies, they also had an option to just install the entire game to the hard drive, so you didn't have to do it anymore.
And that's what I did.
Okay. I must have missed it in the options or whatever, but I remember being extremely annoyed back in the day that you had to wait for like 5 minutes while it installed the next act, and you're just kind of like... And then, on top of that, you had to sit there and watch the Act 2 briefing.
But you can skip that. I mean, they even say at the beginning of each one is like, the briefing is in the options if you want to go back and look at it.
Well, true, but at the same time, on a first playthrough, you don't want to do that, because then you're going to have absolutely no fucking idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I guess what I'm trying to say is they could have possibly found some way to do the install in the background while the briefing scene was playing. Because other games of the time did do it. I'm pretty sure, like, Uncharted, Uncharted 2, those types of games had that capability.
But they also had crazy long load times.
At front loaded, though.
Yeah, well, so is this. I mean, most gamers aren't going to go through this game in a day. So, I mean...
I did. We'll put it right out there. For this project, I basically blitzed through Metal Gear Solid 4 in like 1 or 2 long play sessions. Simply because it was actually around the time I moved, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to play Metal Gear Solid 4.
But, I mean, even back then, I remember it being a cool stopping point. Mm-hmm. It would be, alright, that's an act, and then you move on. It was just... Mm-hmm. It didn't bug me as much. Yes, it could have went better, and this time I did download everything beforehand, so I never had to deal with that kind of stuff, but I think they did it just to help the game run better, and it really did.
Yeah. So the Act 2 briefing starts, and basically now you're going to South America is where you're going now, because Naomi sent Naomi left data that allows Otacon and Sunny, who is Olga's daughter from Metal Gear 2.
Yes.
Or Metal Gear Solid 2, excuse me. And they're both very experienced with computers, and they both work together and crack this code, and they get a file that Naomi basically going, I'm in South America, come get me, because we need to stop Liquid. So you chase that lead down, and you basically get dropped into a rebellion again.
And I like this part. I like the fact that, kind of like in Act 1 where you're just thrown in the battlefield and you're going around, it's another, you can help the rebels and then use them as a way to sneak around.
Yeah.
From what you were saying, you stuck around and fought with the rebels for a while.
Yeah, I did.
I was able to... what I liked about it was I would shoot one guy and help, and then the rebels would all push forward, and I would just kind of stay behind them a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up helping the rebels a lot, to the point where I actually unlocked the emblem you get for the rebels cheering for you 200 times or something ridiculous like that. But I actually found it kind of useful, because a lot of them gave you, like, useful shit, like, regain medicine. Like, the high-end life restoratives, right?
Yeah.
So, that I always found that incredibly useful. So, you're winding your way through this basically, rebellion, and, trying to get closer and closer to, Liquid's compound to rescue Naomi. And, you finally get to Naomi, and she runs tests on you and confirms some of the stuff we discussed earlier about, the fox dye is causing rapid aging, the fox dye is interacting with the rapid aging, that was already a part of, Solid Snake's genetic code. Mm-hmm. And then, there's another twist where she doesn't recognize some of the nanomachines in your body, which is from when, we didn't mention this, but Drebin actually sticks you with nanomachines of his own during Act 1. Mm-hmm. And Naomi's like, this is actually kind of a different version of Fox Die. What the fuck's going on? So, and she confirms this, and then she goes, Liquid's doing something similar with the system, the Guns of the Patriots system. We need to stop him. You need to get me out of here. I can't leave of my own free will. And at that point, guards come in, take her away, and you're left to fight the first member of the B&B Corps.
Well, before we get to that one, there's something that just bugged me about this game, and you call me whatever, but it always drove me nuts. The start of Metal Gear Solid 3, and it really happened here. Can any woman in this game button up a shirt? I think they had a battle between like 5 different women in this game as who could unbutton the most buttons. Because Naomi started it. Big Mama was worse. I mean, there was a few other moments where you're going, really? Why?
Hey, Mei Ling kept herself pretty buttoned up, but we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Always at work.
True.
But it was just something I noticed. Every time it was like, I mean, now yes, they made a lot of jokes and there's a lot of zoom-ins and butts in this game. It was just Kojima being Kojima, but it was just like...
And that's the reason for the unbuttoned shirts, too, is it's Kojima being Kojima. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast yet, but let's be clear here. This is a man who once put out a tweet of a picture of a plate of Eggs Benedict and said that the eggs looked like boobies when you shook the plate.
But it's just one of those things, it was like, I'm not a prude or anything. It was like, does that really have to be here right now?
But
anyway, so the first boss, first B&B, laughing, right?
Laughing octopus. Yeah.
What did you think of this boss fight?
I thought it was pretty damn good, and it's also there's a very good reason why she's laughing octopus, because she's all about deception. Basically, she has octo camo just like you do. That turns into the color and texture of whatever you're up against, leaning up against. And she, uses that to her advantage and hides from you unless you are paying very close attention to your surroundings. And the boss fight is basically you go around this small room trying to figure out what's different, what's wrong, where is she, shoot her in the face, and, repeat until she goes down. And what I find interesting about this, and going back to why she's named Octopus, is back in Metal Gear Solid 1, Hideo Kojima wanted to do a boss fight where you fought Decoy Octopus, and the fight would have used a lot of the same mechanics you see in the Laughing Octopus fight. However, the PlayStation 1 couldn't handle that shit.
Yeah.
And that's a running theme for Kojima, is he wanted to, push the limits, and he would be told, no, the system can't do that. Like Metal Gear Solid 2, he wanted a playable, when the tanker gets sunk, he wanted a playable section where you rush through the flood trying to save Dolph and, Gorlukovich. And was told, no, that's, limitations of the system. And then, Metal Gear Solid 3, he wanted the end boss fight to last a week real time. And was told, number one, that's going to piss a lot of people off. And number two,
I would have loved it. I hated the 10-minute time limit.
No, the end as in the sniper fight.
Oh, the sniper. Okay, not the end fight. I got it. Okay.
And then, was told, that'll piss a lot of people off because, they don't want to have to wait that long to finish a game. Even though it is a cool idea, don't get me wrong, I would have loved it too. But, and then also, there was probably a little bit of kvetching about, the system clock and things being possible there as well.
Do you think we're going to have a week-long battle in Metal Gear Solid 5?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, I remember reading somewhere that Quiet is going, Quiet being the sniper buddy, apparently you have to fight her to recruit her, and apparently I read somewhere that fight was miles ahead, and I believe that's a direct quote, of the end fight.
Which is awesome. And
it's just Jesus.
You hear Kojima back then, defending Ground Zeroes because everyone's saying it was how short it was, going, listen, we were going to bring it out the same time as as 5, but 5 is so long, I don't think a quarter of the people that play this are going to beat it. It's like, I don't think a lot of you are actually going to be able to finish this game. It is so long. I wonder if maybe that's a reason why. But anyways, so back to this fight. It's awesome. I wish the room was a little bit bigger so she had more places to hide. Near the end, it was like, well, she has like 2-3 places really.
Right.
And then she would go and jump out the window, and then you'd go basically into the middle of the building, so then she doesn't jump out and hit you, and you do that. So I wish the room was a little bit bigger just for variety purposes. But all in all, for like your first major boss fight, it was good.
Yeah. So, after that happens, you basically have to track Naomi down.
Well, first you have to hear that basically Kojima also hates women and thinks they all have to have the worst goddamn backstories. Because all of the girls for the B&B...
Yeah, Drebin calls you and gives you the rundown of how shitty, their lives were before, their lives were leading up to becoming a B&B Corps member.
Wasn't she, tortured and made to laugh the whole time? And
that sort of thing.
Just disgusting things.
And, well... I just remember Laughing Octopus for being the first person in the entirety of the Metal Gear Solid series to drop an F-bomb. When she says it's also fucking hysterical is the first time you hear the F-bomb in the entire Metal Gear Solid series.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually kind of an interesting little note. And in fact, Kojima wanted to drop the F-bomb in Snake Eater, but the Japanese voice actress for Eva, because basically it was during a scene where Eva was getting tortured by Volgin, and Kojima wanted her to tell Volgin to go to fuck off, and was talked down to a go to hell instead.
Alright,
anyway, sorry.
Yeah. So anyways, you follow Naomi in a pretty cool scene where you really have to take your time and like old school Metal Gear stuff, which I loved.
Yeah, and while getting advice from Raiden.
Yes.
Who, you get a bit more of that story is, after the events of 2, him and Rose kind of had a falling out after Rose miscarried. Well, allegedly.
Yes.
That's another thing we'll get to later. But, and basically Raiden disappeared into the wilds and has become Super Ninja, basically.
Super Ninja.
Yeah.
But he did save
Sonny
and all that. But
Yep.
But what I liked about this little section, just real quick, before we hit the main part of this act, is like you have your iCam.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
The Solid Eye.
Solid Eye, thank you, which we haven't really talked about, but it basically is kind of like what.
It's basically all of the goggles that you can get in the previous games, plus the radar rolled up into one thing.
The Splinter Cell guy.
Sam Fisher.
Sam Fisher. Basically, it's the same thing as Sam Fisher. You have the 3 different things.
And in fact, they actually I remember now, they made a joke about that in, like, the lead-up trailers to, when Metal Gear Solid 4 was first announced. One of the initial trailers has Snake's model removing, like, the Sam Fisher the silhouette, right?
So kind of like what he does in Ground Zero.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. But, anyway.
But anyway, so if you turn that on, so you have the night vision on, so you can see the people, but after a while you get to the frogs or whatever, and they can hear it.
Yeah.
So then you can't really rely on it. I like that. I wish there was more of that.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's just an awesome segment. So anyways, you get to that point, and then you meet up with Vamp, who's getting ready to take off, and shoot him in the forehead, and
he goes, I'm taking a nap.
And then, in one of the funniest scenes to me ever, he gets into a firefight with a bunch of soldiers who are standing in the middle of the field, and they are unloading all sorts of bullets, and Solid Snake does not hit a single one of them.
And vice versa.
Well,
and then
that's
also,
one dude, but Snake, this great person, there's 10 guys out there, he didn't hit a single person the entire time.
Yeah. And then the other thing about this scene is Liquid goes for a second test of the system, and it goes about as well as the first one did, where the soldiers start freaking out and shit goes all sorts of wacky, and then Naomi manages to jump down from the helicopter, and you try to get her out of Dodge, basically.
You have a chase.
Yeah.
With soldiers and geckos and
Drebin wisecracking, and yeah. It's all well and good, but here's the thing. For Act 2 and Act 3, they both have chase sequences in them that I feel like the only reason they're there is because they looked at the motorcycle chase sequence from Metal Gear Solid 3 and went, people liked that, let's shove it in as much as we can in Metal Gear Solid 4, because, surely bigger and better is going to be better, right?
Oh, you can't, I'm sorry, you can't say that. It's like, well, they looked at that, then look at the whole rest of the series and go, well, they like this character, so we're going to use her more. Or, people like boobs, so we're going to put boobs in more. I don't think they looked at it and went, well, people like that, so we're going to put 2 of them in 4. I just think for those situations, they were both needed.
Yeah. Well, I guess the point I was trying to make is they felt like they were put in to kind of match that moment from 3, but neither of them really live up to 3 in my eyes. Because they're both really fucking annoying. Which we'll get, they
were better than 3, because 3 is just a bunch of motorcyclists come at you, you shoot them. That's it. It's not like, the beginning of the motorcycle fight in 3 when, the Shago Hot is running around and you can't really hit it. That's great visuals. But here, you actually have geckos and stuff in front of you. And the one in the next act, you have all the flying raven chicks that are going all over the place. You have different things, and you actually have to take out stuff. So, I'm sorry, I just have to kind of disagree. I think they serve their purpose in it. And that's another reason why I love this game so much, is there's so many different varieties of things that you're doing.
Yeah.
So anyways, you get away enough, the thing flips over, and then you get to witness one of the most over-the-top, ridiculous fights any cutscene has ever done.
Yep.
My girlfriend actually watched this. And gut rolled the whole time. I'm going, listen, it's ridiculous. She laughed at his ability to hold onto his sword with his feet.
Yep. And we're talking about Raiden here.
Yeah, Raiden versus
basically
Vamp.
all cyborg. Raiden versus Vamp and Raiden versus the geckos.
And how he could do his little twirly thing and spin those things around. It's basically, this is the point where you have to remember, it's like, listen, this is not realism.
Yeah.
Alright? And people that are that can't happen. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's a video game.
And a lot of this was them trying to rehab Raiden, because remember, people backdrafted against Raiden so hard.
Yes.
And a lot of this was Kojima trying to go, yeah, he's badass, deal with it. Yeah.
And to be honest, I kind of like the old Raiden better. I didn't have that backlash. We talked about it last week. So I liked that rookie form.
And this is 2 weeks ago, because that was Metal Gear Solid 2, but...
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, whatever. 2 weeks. Maybe I brought it up last week and you don't even know.
True.
I'm trying to cover it up. I have no idea. I'm terrible.
Moving on.
But no, it was just a weird character, and the way he interacted with Vamp was weird, and I don't know. I didn't like it that much, and I guess that's why I'm so worried about playing Revengeance. It's kind of like, I don't like that version of Raiden. I like the up-and-coming Snake. Now, again, I know that Kojima's gone, and we're not going to get those kind of Metal Gear games anymore, and he doesn't want to do them, but if they could have, brought him in here at 4, he could have been the up-and-coming guy. This could have been the better passing of the torch game. But they decided to go in a whole different route because of the backlash and all that. Yeah. So, whatever. So, anyways, you get crazy cutscenes and whatnot, and then you get off in the helicopter, and my favorite scene right there was right when you get there, Naomi has twisted her ankle from jumping out of the helicopter, and she's trying to get in, and you have Otacon who's piloting the thing going, listen, I would love to be a gentleman, I'm busy. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think it was more a line of he would have liked to have been there in person to do it, but he can't. Or no, he is in person. Yeah. He's piloting the ship, but he actually takes the time to pilot the Make 2 over to give her a foothold, which is hilarious. And I will find a way to be a gentleman. Yeah. So Raiden gets his ass kicked by Vamp. They basically, they both kick each other's ass mutually, basically.
Yes.
And Raiden gets into the helicopter and then starts vomiting white blood everywhere because he got his ass kicked so hard.
But we also learn at this point that Vamp is not immortal, which we all knew anyways, but it was the nanomachines that Naomi has created that were, super recharging, basically.
Which, by the way, if you want to kill your liver very quickly, take a shot every time Nanomachines is behind something in Metal Gear Solid 4.
No shit.
You will be fucking dead from alcohol poisoning, and it probably would happen at around this point. Anyway,
so that's Act 2.
Yeah, that's Act 2, and you go into Act 3, and it's now Raiden's getting the help he needs from Dr. Madnar, which is kind of an interesting little, callback.
Callback to what most people don't even know.
Yeah.
Because that was mostly Metal Gear 2.
Yeah, that was Metal Gear 2, yeah.
And we never even got that game.
And Metal Gear 1, actually. I think Madnar's in 1. Yeah.
A little bit of 1, but 2 was his main character thing. He was just there in the first one.
Yeah. Well, he was the designer of the Metal Gear in the first one. Anyway, so, Raiden's off getting his help, and, you're following a lead he gave you to find Big Mama, who's the leader of a resistance in Eastern Europe. And so, to do that, you come into Eastern Europe, and you
have the worst act in the game. And this is from somebody who absolutely loves this game.
Yeah.
But basically, you have to find the resistance. The only way to find the resistance is to follow a resistance member the entire time, through all of the shit, and nothing happens. He whistles along. Sometimes they pull that whole, oh, he's going this way. Oh, he's going this way. Just so they could, oh, you were following too close. Now he's going to see you.
Yeah. And then, or he gets spotted like a dumbass.
And then you have to shoot some stuff.
Yeah.
This to me, it was just a super time waster, and
it's pretty blatant padding. Like, it is pretty blatant gameplay padding, because if not, Act 3 would basically be a whole bunch of talking and then on-rails driving sequence.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they could have found a different way to do it. I hate calling padding on a game that took us 14, 15, 16 hours.
Yeah.
But I understand what you mean. It just is there to give you something to do in Act 3. Mm-hmm. So it's not all cutscene. I get it. But I just wish there was a different way. It would have been better if it was you had to go through the streets and find it. Mm-hmm. And it may be in these different locations. Yeah. And even cooler if it was a different location each time. Uh-huh. But just the following of someone was...
Yeah. Although it is a nice little opportunity to kind of fool around with the face camo you got for beating Laughing Octopus, because you can see some different reactions to different faces, or if he spots you with that mask on, that mask now becomes worthless for that section. Yeah, sort of thing. So you tail the Resistance member, you get into the Resistance hideout. You make fools out of the chump guards.
Yes.
Which was hilarious. And Big Mama steps in and stops it, and then you have this holy shit long info dump where, Big Mama basically breaks down how exactly we got to this point and, reveals who the Patriot, how the Patriots started with, like, Zero and Paramedic and Sigint and Big Boss.
Well, and you have to also reveal who Big Mama is.
Yeah, Eva.
Is Eva, which was awesome and, another great callback and that kind of stuff. But yes, this is the point of the game where I went, I want to know about this.
Yeah.
I want to know more. That's why I love this cutscene, even though it was very long, because that's the stuff I wanted to know. Because Metal Gear Solid 3 is great. And it was like, that whole group from Metal Gear Solid 3 became what has caused all of this.
Yeah.
So I want to know about that. I want to know about how Snake and Ocelot decided to work together. And
to be fair, some of that is discussed in Portable Ops, which is kind of canon. Like, Kojima's basically said, the broad strokes are there of what happened, but, don't take, like, the exact details as canon, because I may decide to contradict them later. And then Peace Walker obviously has a little bit of that in it as well.
Peace Walker, from what I've seen, is a little bit after it, and Big Boss's creation of Fox and all that, but...
So, and by the way, if you didn't already get the biblical references from when they basically shove it down your throat in Metal Gear Solid 3, they basically shove it down your throat even harder in this scene, because this entire sequence is taking place in a church with like the you know, like like a knockoff of the painting of the Sistine Chapel, you know, that's on the roof of the Sistine Chapel, and that gets displayed prominently, and Eva's eating an apple, and yeah, it's just like, okay, we fucking get it, you know? Snake and Adam and Eve and Bible and yay, religious iconography.
But you also find out Big Mama is a big thing because she is
Big Mama, yeah,
the mom of all of these snakes, basically, and
from the Les Enfants Terribles project.
So, I mean, it's great. So then you learn all the backstory, and then you get, as we brought up, another chase, which is to protect the body of Big Boss, because if Liquid gets his hands on it, he gets access to the system, and everything's fucked. And that body is fucked up.
Yeah.
It's not even a body anymore.
Yeah, it's basically, it's what's called a biomort, and if you want to make your, you know, go Google that if you want to have fun times. Don't actually Google that. It doesn't turn out well for anybody involved. Anyway, so you go through this chase sequence, and it ends in a wreck, basically, and you have to go fight Raging Raven, who is the Beauty and the Beast Corps in charge of this particular section of Eastern Europe. And
thoughts on her?
Fuck that boss fight.
In a good way or a bad way? Like, difficult way, or you didn't like it?
I didn't like it, and and honestly, I found it tedious. I wouldn't say difficult, but I found it tedious. You know, it, just kinda, you know, running around the roof and waiting for her to overheat and then getting a few shots in, repeat.
Well, I got lucky, I guess, because I remember having trouble with it the first time I played it, and when I got there, like, oh boy, here we go. And I don't know what it was about this time, but she really liked to hang out around the balcony and just get ready to shoot, and I got really good at hitting her really quick and then dodging off to the side and then hitting her again and then not getting hit. So she only ever overheated against me once, but I did kind of like that because then you had to figure out where she was and all of that. But I agree. Out of the four of the B&B members, I think she's my least favorite. But I don't think it was a terrible boss fight. It was just kind of there. Yeah, you're gonna have that in these games, and everything's gonna hit. But no, I kind of agree with you. It was just not the best way to end. Not the best act. Yeah, basically. So
you take down Raging Raven, and you hear her kind of weird little, you know, sob story from Driven, and you go back downstairs, and Eva. By the way, Eva got impaled in the exact same way she did in Snake Eater, so they do a callback to that scene because, of course, they do.
Yeah, because this is a game of callbacks. Yeah. I'm sorry, I left.
Yeah. But, and, you know, they stumble through the sewers to try and, continue the search. And you get
another scene, it was basically one of those, okay, now we're gonna go in the sewers, and then, okay, we're out of the sewers. Yeah. It's like, that could have been, I mean, if you want gameplay padding. Yeah. But there just wasn't much there.
Yeah. So you get to the location you want to go to and find that Liquid Ocelot has beaten you there. And thus begins the like downward spiral, basically. Liquid takes the body, takes control of the system, starts shooting the fuck out of everybody. You know, basically, it's another plot dump where he goes, "This is what I'm trying to do, you can't stop me, yada yada yada." With a side of Liquid Ocelot kicks the crap out of out of Old Snake. And, Meryl has this big damn heroes moment where the cavalry comes in, but you know it's not going to go well because you know Liquid has controlled the system, right? Yeah. And so, Liquid and Vamp and Naomi are all on this boat, and not giving a fuck about, like, there's literally, like, an entire battalion of soldiers surrounding. Like, it's like, what, I'd probably say a good solid minute is spent showing just how many troops are surrounding this boat.
Yeah, and then he basically snaps his fingers and all the guns don't work.
Yep.
And some of the airplanes decide to go down because he pointed at them.
And and he like finger mimes while the guns are going off.
I love that, especially because he points at a helicopter and it goes down, and he points at another helicopter and it starts going down, and then all of a sudden he does that bang 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 stuff with his fingers, and it looks like they're getting shot, and everyone's going. You have to be going, well, this is stupid, and then they show that somebody's actually shooting behind him, and he's just being goofy. And I loved it. I loved the idea. It was like, okay, they're really going that over the top with some of this stuff. I mean, we have Raiden doing weird cartwheels with geckos on his feet, and now this, but it was a joke. Yeah.
So, this is also where kind of the Meryl and Sasaki thing gets, pushed forward a little bit, because, Johnny reveals he doesn't have nanomachines in him because he hated needles.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, and that he's been using his wearable to kind of keep up with everybody. But that, that's also why he's getting sick, because the nanomachines aren't there to regulate his, body and whatnot like the others. And, so he uses this to basically save everybody's ass. Like, he pulls, Meryl out of the ocean or out of the river, and pulls Snake out of the river, And, and now that Liquid has controlled the system, he doesn't need the body anymore, so he burns the body.
Yes.
Which causes Eva to flip and throw herself onto the funeral pyre, basically, and die. Which, given what we find out later, is kind of weird, but...
And kind of sad.
Yeah. Because once we find out the whole story, there's no reason Eva should have done what she did. But we'll get to that later.
So let's get to the good act.
Yes. Basically, this is kind of the downer moment of the entire game. And Act 4 begins with the team basically trying to figure out, okay, what now? Liquid has to launch a nuke. How's he going to do that when all the nukes are controlled? When all the nukes are controlled by part of the system he does not actually have access to at this point.
And that's when they realize that the one nuke launching system that was out there before all of the nanomachines started taking over was Rex.
Yeah,
Shadow Moses.
The railgun on Metal Gear Rex on Shadow Moses Island, which miraculously was not touched or moved at all in the 9 years since. It was literally like the government just went, Shadow Moses no longer exists.
But didn't they blow it up?
No.
When you go to escape or whatever at the end of that? Or no, they got called off.
Yeah, I was about to say, the threat was, yes, you're going to get bombed, and that's why the timer was going to liquid
and then the guy, he goes, no, we took back over. Okay, sorry, I had a brain fart.
No, you're fine. That's, that was probably what went through a lot of people's mind is, wasn't there a bombing at the end of Metal Gear Solid, and that's why the timer was there? But anyway, so you find this out, and you make your way to Shadow Moses to try and, destroy Rex before Ocelot can get to it.
And then Kojima does the most brilliant thing ever. They say, we're going to Shadow Moses, and the next thing you know, you're on Shadow Moses, but it's it's PlayStation 1 graphics.
Yep.
And it's the helipad, and you're going,
oh
my
shit.
God.
Yep.
And it's just the helipad that you can play. And I don't know if it was just because I had been playing with Metal Gear Solid 4 and the better graphics, but it almost felt to me like the graphics for the graphics on this game were worse than the Metal Gear Solid 1 graphics. I don't know what it was, but when I was playing it, I was like, was it really this bad when I played this a couple months ago? Were the graphics this bad?
Yeah, there's a little bit of fuzziness in the Metal Gear Solid 4 version of Metal Gear Solid 1 Shadow Moses. It is a pretty noticeable difference. So, your basic objective in the Metal Gear Solid 1 version of the helipad is to just get into the actual base. And once you do that, it kind of does the smash cut to, for some reason, Snake was wearing a version of the Metal Gear Solid 1 Snake model as his Octo Camo. And he jumps awake and his Octo Camo resets to his actual face. And then you drop into Shadow Moses, and you sneak past a few geckos, and you make your way to the helipad, which is now frozen over because you're in the middle of a gigantic blizzard.
Yes.
While the best is yet to come plays. And it is basically... Act 4 is basically... Okay, you've put up with this for 3 acts. We're gonna hit you right in the nostalgia now. Welcome to Shadow Moses.
Yeah, no joke. It was amazing. I wish you could do more in it. Mm-hmm. But I obviously understand why. I kind of wish, especially there's a part later on in this where Otacon basically unlocks everything. Mm-hmm. It would have been awesome if you just had the ability to go to different sections. Yeah. Just to kind of see what it would look like. Yeah. But, I mean, again, I know they want to keep you going in the right direction. Yeah. But I like that you would hit certain areas and then a flashback would hit and you would hear stuff, especially in the helipad. There's like 3 or 4 different sections. Yeah. Though I remember having one when you walk by the camera and it does it. I tried to trigger that damn thing for 5 minutes and it didn't go. Yeah. Where you have a surveillance camera and it flashes the Metal Gear Solid 1 graphics and then it goes to Metal Gear Solid 4 graphics and the camera falls over. Yeah. I couldn't get that to trigger. Weird. I walked underneath that thing all sorts of times. I don't know what I did wrong, but I was disappointed. That was one I remembered. Yeah. So anyways, you go through that and you go down to where you first met Ocelot and Ocelot's talking to you the whole time. Otacon. Jesus. Yes, Otacon. He's being, all nostalgic and all that. And I like that the papers are still all flung around. Yeah. It looks like this office has not been touched in the years since, which is great. And, he's like, oh, this is where he met me, and then the ninja... Hey, look, there's a frozen puddle of piss. Yeah. Well, they don't exactly say that, but you can kind of tell the sentiments there, Yeah. So, that's all great, and then I didn't like the gecko part. Yeah. Right there where you had to take him out. I guess there was a way to get the electric floor to turn back on, or they hinted at it, but I didn't know how to do it. Yeah. I think I ended up running past him, too. Why wouldn't it let me run past him? Because I went to go just run past him and hit the door, and he yelled at me, and then I got shot. Huh. So I ended up just blowing him up. But, so you go through this and a few other gecko parts. You protect the Mach 2 at one point, trying to unlock the big door. And that leads you into this giant field area with a couple, guard towers and stuff. Into basically the snowfield from the first game. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the exact same snowfield. Oh wait, no it's not, because it's past the nuclear warhead storage building. So it's the overland route that you're blocked from, and it's the reason why you have to go the underground route through the communication towers in Solid. So, and you get to this part, and suddenly you get shot at, and here we go again. It's a battle with sniper battle with a codename Wolf, except this time it's Crying Wolf in a giant mech suit. And it's a sniper battle with some chick on a giant mechanical wolf with a railgun. Yes. And if that's not bad enough, soldiers just continue to come out. Yeah. And drive me nuts. Yeah. I actually didn't have that much of a problem with this boss fight. But then again, I think, I think I was also coming directly into it from sniping a lot of Metal Gear Solid 3 with the Mosin Nagant, so I was already kind of in sniper mode. So I was just like, well, okay, let's get my Mosin Nagant out and get to work. I just had a lot of trouble because you could only hit her in that one spot. She was, obviously, right before she was ready to fire, yeah. And I don't know what it was with me for a while in this boss fight. I just couldn't hit it. Yeah. For whatever reason. And then it would be a lot of running around. And I had a little bit of trouble with that too to start out with, but I managed to kind of, hone it in. Very much enjoyed this boss fight. It might even be my favorite one out of the 4 B&Bs. Yeah. Just because there was so much going on. And I was messaging you through it going, man, this is very tedious in a good way. There's just so much going on. It's like, okay, I know she's over here. I have to get over here. Shit, there's more soldiers over here. And I gotta take care of them. And as I'm doing that, she moves. And I like that you can go up onto those towers and get good vantage points. And it's just, there's a lot to it. And I very much enjoyed it. Yeah. So, you finish this up. And you finish off Sniper Wolf. Wow. Crying Wolf, I believe it is, isn't it? Yes. And, and finish that, and, you proceed to Rex's lair, basically. And, again, the concentrated nostalgia, you get to the point where you had to switch discs in Metal Gear Solid 1,
and Otacon calls you on codec and just goes, I know it's a pain in the ass, but we need to switch discs, yada yada yada.
He goes, oh wait, we're on PlayStation
3. We don't have to switch discs.
We're on Blu-ray.
Dual layered too.
Otacon!
Yeah, and then Snake just basically goes, have you lost your mind? Yeah. Again, just pure nostalgia, you know?
And then I love, once you get down there, you know, that's where you fought Raven with all the, obviously, ravens and stuff, and they're still all over the place.
Yeah.
But then you meet those stupid
dwarf
gecko things that have a bunch of little arms for legs.
Yeah. I think they're actually called tripods, too.
Whatever.
Vengeance, but
they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
But it also, I mean, they don't cause that much of a threat.
Yeah.
And for most of that section, you can just run by them.
Especially if you've been being diligent and have managed to collect the 3 chaff grenades in the entire game up to this point. Because you can use them to short circuit them and run by them.
Oh, I never did that. But there's, I mean,
because like I said, there are literally only 3 chaff grenades in the entire game.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even need to think about using them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have them.
Yeah.
Or collected or whatever, but I just never even thought about it. But you just mostly run by them. There's one section where the door doesn't seem to want to unlock until you shoot them. Mm-hmm. But they're really easy to kill. It wasn't that big deal. Another nostalgia thing that I really liked in this section was that corridor before you fight Raven, where it had those 2 trap doors that might get you, and then, you know, it had like the 20 surveillance cameras. Those doors in Metal Gear Solid 4 are open. Or just another little thing where I went, okay, that's cool. At least it remembers, you know, there's trap doors there.
Yeah.
And they pretend that you triggered them on your way by last time and this and that. So it's just awesome. So you get through all of that, get through some more geckos, and you get to where
the Rex's underground.
The Rex's
hangar.
Destroyed corpse is from when you beat it up.
And you notice the railgun's already gone, which means you're day late and dollar short again.
Yeah.
And at this point, Vamp shows up and he goes, hey, you're dead because here come all the suicide gecko. And at this point, you use Raiden shows up. He's feeling better. And Raiden goes to fight Vamp on top of Metal Gear Rex while Snake... Oh,
hold on. You fight Vamp first. Don't skip that boss battle. You fight Vamp.
Yes, you do, but...
That's first. And then Raiden ends up finishing him. Because you hit him with the
syringe. Yeah. Which suppresses his nanomachines and makes him mortal.
Yes.
And then he jumps up and says, well, doesn't matter, suicide geckos are coming.
Yeah, so what do you think of that boss fight?
It's not really a boss fight because you can just grab... If you get lucky, you can grab him and syringe him and he's done.
But, did you... The very first time you played this, did you know you could do that?
I had a feeling it was coming because, I was reading between the lines because I had started to notice the nanomachine thing. And I had read the syringe description, because this was back in a time where I wanted to read every description. And I had read that it suppressed nanomachine activity, and I made the link, if Vamp's immortality, healing factor is nanomachines, what will happen if I stick him with the syringe?
Well, and you were past me, because I remember the first time I did it, I probably knocked him down 6-7 times before I figured it out. This time, I knew about the syringe, but I thought you had to take him down to knock him down. I'm sure there was a faster way to do it. Yeah. But it's still a boss fight, even though if there's a sneaky way to do it.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult of a boss fight, to be honest, and very kind of anticlimactic. And as you said, then it ends up being Raiden versus Vamp, which is kind of
It's an amazing scene, but you can't see it because you're so busy shooting suicide geckos with the railgun.
So it's the equivalent of Snake and the chick from the second game that we talked about.
Fortune.
Fortune, where you don't see that fight. This time you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
You could see it if your buddy's playing.
Yeah.
You can just sit up there and watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of disappointing.
Or, YouTube in this day and age. But...
Well, yeah, it's kind of disappointing it's that way, and I hated that gecko section.
Yeah.
Just because it was annoying, and it was just so many geckos jump down, you shoot them, if there's nothing to it. It's just rinse and repeat. And so ended up being one of only 2 times I died before the final boss.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see one of the suicide geckos behind another one, and whatever.
So, that boss fight happens, and Vamp finally succumbs to his injuries, and at this point, Naomi decides she's had enough of living and suppresses the nanomachines in her that have been keeping her cancer at bay, and there's this huge dramatic scene where Otacon goes, all the people I love die, yada yada yada.
Because Otacon has to cry in every game he's in.
And, it was actually when it first happened, I actually was like, oh my god, he is overacting the hell out of this scene. Because
he overacted the scene.
Yeah.
I didn't like it as much.
Yeah, to the detriment of the scene. Like, the way he cries in this scene is just like, holy shit, dude.
So rank Otacon freakout from deaths. So you have Naomi, you have Emma, and you have Sniper Wolf.
Sniper Wolf's is best, and then there's Emma, and then there's...
I liked Emma's just because we got that scene after that with Snake trying to snap him out of it.
Yeah.
No, you have to go get the hostages.
Where they do the bro handshake, and it's actually the Konami code.
Yes.
And then I didn't...
So I put all that together.
Yeah. So. Good point. But anyway, so, they both die, and Otacon figures out, oh, hey, I can get Metal Gear Rex running, and we can get out of here. Which leads to you piloting Metal Gear Rex down a corridor, escaping.
Blowing shit up.
Yep. And you get out to daylight, and here comes Ocelot in a Metal Gear Ray.
I love how you switch between whether he's Ocelot or Liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because the game, the game doesn't care either. it kind of uses them interchangeably too. So, and all of a sudden, you are fighting Metal Gear Ray in a Metal Gear Rex, and it is fucking amazing.
That's a fanboy comic or a fanboy game that somebody probably made on Newgrounds years ago.
Yep.
And the battle is a little disappointing. I wish, again, the space that you fight is just so small. But it's just one of those moments that this is what you've wanted since Metal Gear Solid 2. Mm-hmm. Or even Metal Gear Solid 1. You wanted to pilot a Metal Gear. How awesome would that be? Mm-hmm. And here you get it for a little while.
Yep. So, that fight happens. Rex actually pretty much trounces Ray if you do the boss fight properly. And, which is weird considering, Rex is not been in use for 10 years, is missing its railgun,
Well, obviously, Liquid was using one of the mass-produced ones.
True, yeah. Well, he was, because as you find out, he goes to start escaping, and, he runs to the end of the dock, and here out pops, Arsenal gear, and Liquid's made improvements to it. Because it has on its surface a carved sculpture of, I think it's all the Snake Brothers.
Oh, I thought it was the Patriots.
No, I think it's it's Solidus, Big Boss, Liquid, and Solid. I think it is.
Oh, maybe I just
all I know
it was
is
the Patriots.
I just know fans have nicknamed it Mount Snake more.
Oh, maybe.
But anyway, so that ridiculousness happens. And by the way, I love how Liquid is taunting you, or Ocelot is taunting you the entire time like a 5-year-old. He literally turns around to face you, runs backwards while doing that whole thumb on the nose, wiggling your fingers with your tongue out thing. Blowing raspberries at you. Anyway, so he decides he's just going to crush you to death with Arsenal gear, and Raiden goes, nah, I think I'll take this bullet. Gets his exoskeleton crushed, loses both of his arms, and at this point it becomes, you have to meet up with another old friend, Mei Ling, who is now the captain of a museum ship. And that's where you drop into Act 5.
Yeah. By the way, you are right, it was the Snake Boys. Once I actually got to see the picture, because it's only there for a second.
Yeah.
And I saw Big Boss and just went, oh, that's the Patriots.
Yeah.
But no, I just looked up the image, and it's all the Snake guys.
Yeah. So you start out Act 5, and your objective is, that you have a worm designed by Naomi Hunter and Sunny.
Because Sunny's a badass on the computer.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And you need to install it into GW to destroy the system, SOP. Well, it's basically a suicide mission because you're going up against, a fully armed and operational Arsenal gear.
And then you have to go through this giant microwave chamber.
Yep. But before you get to that point, you have to get below decks past one of the most irritating stealth sequences of the game, in my opinion. Because once you get spotted, it's full alert and you can't stop it, and you've got geckos on your ass.
Yeah, I failed so quickly on that. It would just blow up a couple geckos and whatever.
Like, a lot of my restarts are just that section because I was just like, oh, I'm almost there. Fuck, something spotted me. Yeah.
Well, turn around and take them out.
Yep. But, so you get below decks and you get into this giant auditorium and you meet the final member of the B&B Corps, Screaming Mantis. And, this boss fight was annoying to me because I was doing a non-lethal run, and I thought I remembered that basically Screaming Mantis has 2 dolls.
Yes.
One's the Sorrow and one's Psycho Mantis. And I thought I remembered the Sorrow doll being non-lethal and Mantis being lethal. Which, to be fair, might be how it works when you actually get the items themselves. But that's not how it works in the boss fight, because if you shoot the Sorrow doll first... Wow, English. Shoot the Sorrow doll... God damn it.
Take 3.
Shoot the Sorrow doll.
Yay!
Yes! Anyway, and pick it up, and then try to use it, it doesn't work. And they hand wave it with, oh, that must only work on dead bodies, because the Sorrow is, a spirit medium. Okay, whatever. And then, so I had to shoot out the Mantis doll. Well, this fight probably took me about 10 tries to manage to remember that I had to shoot out the dolls, first of all. And then I took a couple tries shooting out the Sorrow doll and then getting killed before I could pick it up. And then I'd find, got the Sorrow doll, wait, it's not working, died again. Yeah. Yeah. So, the basic way to beat this boss is, she's invulnerable until you get one of her dolls. And you have to basically avoid all of the puppets and whatnot she's sending at you. And Meryl. Because there's a firefight in this room before Screaming Mantis shows up. I forgot to mention that. And she's using all the bodies from that firefight against you. And you have to dodge all of them, dodge Meryl, and then also stop Meryl from hurting herself because, Screaming Mantis is pulling that trick again of stand right where she can see you and blow your brains out. And while you're doing all this, then get a couple shots in on the Mantis doll, pick it up, and use the Mantis doll on Screaming Mantis. And then that pretty much instantly ends the fight. Yeah.
I didn't have that much issue. I remember messaging you right before I got there, just kind of going, okay, quick tip or whatever. And you said just pick up that one doll, which was fine. I think even if I would have went after both dolls, I wouldn't have had that much of an issue. Mm-hmm. I think it helped that I had a bunch of rations stocked up. Yeah,
I think I was actually low on healing items at that point too. So
that obviously affects how things goes because they're the soldiers and stuff that she uses, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And I tried to just run around and focus on her. Going, I know I have a lot of rations, and I was pretty sure it was the last time I ever had to use them. So it was just straight up gunfight and see if I could survive. But there's a lot going on in that fight, and again, I really enjoyed it. It was a great callback to, obviously, the Psycho Mantis fight, which, after you beat her, he kind of appears, because I'm going to read your memory card.
What? No memory card?
No memory card. And I'm sorry, he does a thing where he's like, oh, I'm going to make the controller shake. Did DualShock 3 not have Rumble at the beginning? Was that where that joke? Because that's where that joke comes from, right?
Right. Yeah.
But then they added it in, so then my controller still shook. But I remember when that happened, I went, I think that was a joke that they didn't have.
Right, yeah. It was a joke in the original release because the 6-axis, the original PlayStation 3 controller was called the 6-axis, and it had the motion control in it, hence the name 6-axis. It actually had 6 degrees of movement.
Yeah.
And, but Sony claimed at the time that they couldn't have both the motion control and the rumble, and they wanted the motion control.
Yeah.
So, the joke when Metal Gear Solid 4 first came out was, well, Psycho Mantis is trying to do Rumble, but oh, wait, no Rumble anymore.
And that's the thing people have to remember about this game. This game came out really early in the PlayStation 3 library, which I think is why they had the install times.
Yeah.
It was because it came out so early, and it was such a huge game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I digress. But it was just one of those things where it was like, I know they're making a joke about the memory card, and then they were making a joke about the DualShock, but with the DualShock 3, they fixed it, and now it rumbled, and I was like...
And Rumble is back, baby! Yeah. But, and then he just suddenly poofs and goes away. Yeah. And, so... Snake continues on, leaving Meryl and Johnny to kind of fend for themselves in the auditorium to cover his back.
And they have a weird sequence.
Yeah.
Where he asks her to marry her while shooting.
Yeah.
And
having actually gets way up in her business, and she's clearly uncomfortable with this conversation right now.
And that's where he goes off about the nanomachines and how he was afraid of needles and all that. It's a weird scene. Then you go, and then... Raiden catches up with you, and okay, so we skipped this part. Raiden has been crushed by stuff.
No, I mentioned it. He sacrifices himself in Act 4.
Well, kinda.
Yeah.
And then he rips off one arm, but then he shows up and he has no arms. What happened to the other arm?
I think it actually got crushed. Like the other arm got crushed by Arsenal gear. Is what happened. And then the other arm was in the way. So, something to that effect happened, but I'm pretty sure he lost both arms.
When he is coming out of the tunnel and everything collapses. That's where the first arm goes. Because it's underneath all the stuff and he was trying to get to his sword. And then, he goes out with Arsenal gear.
I think the other arm gets crushed during the Arsenal gear when he's trying to stop Arsenal.
All of a sudden he's there with no arms and he's fighting with his feet and his mouth.
Yeah. And he is lightning, the rain transformed, and we've been skipping over some of the briefings, but some of the lines regarding Raiden in this game are amazingly corny. Because, Snake's trying to cheer up Raiden at one point, and he goes, "You were the lightning in that rain." Because Raiden's like, "It rained on the day I was born." Yeah, because he's going fucking full emo. Yeah. And then, you get kind of a callback when Raiden's giving a badass pose and he goes, "I am lightning, the rain transformed." And I'm like, ugh.
What does Kojima have with lightning? Like, there's been a lightning person in basically every single one of these. I can't remember one in the first Metal Gear Solid, but ever since then, there's been somebody that was very focused on lightning. And then Raiden right there just shoots lightning at everybody. And it was like,
yeah.
Really? Do we have to do the lightning thing again? There's other elements.
Yeah.
But then you get to the crazy scene where you're at the microwave corridor.
Yeah.
And
mashing X like a madman.
It's an X or triangle. It doesn't matter. So you're doing that while it's split screen and you're watching
everybody else get their shit wrecked.
The super sad. It looks like everything's going to go bad. And then you get through that, and that's where you see GW. And the Mach 2 goes and puts in all the stuff, which I understand a bunch of the little geckos start showing up, and they start going after you instead of the Mach 2. But at what point ever, like in the briefings, when they're trying to figure out this mission, why didn't anyone go, well, there's a microwave there, and it would kill somebody if they go through it. Well, let's send in the Mach 2, because the Mach 2 goes through it, no fucking problem, and it's the one that puts in the damn virus anyways. Why did Snake have to do it? Why did Snake have to do it? He didn't. He really didn't have to go.
Yeah. There may be something I'm misremembering about that sequence, because I'm pretty sure they do give at least a partial explanation for why there has to be a human going through there, but I'll put it in the show notes if I find it. So, because, as I'm trying to think of it right now, and I'm just not getting it off the top of my head. But, so, the virus installs, basically, and a final message from Naomi plays where she goes, okay, the system's destroyed, and I'm sorry I had to, manipulate things the way I did, but hey, at least we got the system destroyed, and I'm gonna miss you, Otacon, and blah, blah, blah.
And more tears.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Yeah. And in kind of a cool scene, I don't know why this room needed, like, VR holograms or whatever, but all of the data banks turn into tombstones. Like the boss's tombstone and whatnot.
Well, they were kind of there anyways with all the flowers and...
Yeah.
So that looked cool.
So, you've finished that, and it looks like everything's going well, but then Ocelot takes you, while everybody's distracted, and you wake up on top of a battleship, on top of like a submarine mast from the looks of it, and Ocelot basically goes,
"Stop calling him Ocelot, he's liquid."
Liquid. But, basically goes, well, this, it may not be exactly how I planned it, but this is still what I wanted. The Patriots are gone. So, the only thing left now is we still got a score to settle, you and I. Fist fight.
Epic fist fight. And the second stage of this fist fight is the only reason that I don't like it, and it's not because it was bad, it just kicks my ass. Yeah. It really did.
Yeah.
It was like...
Well, to be fair to you, it's a very sudden shift because there is a entirely separate set of controls specifically for this fight. To the point where it goes, hey, press select so you can figure out what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, and it's great, but it's obviously you go through the different forms of either Liquid or Ocelot in whatever, and it's a great callback to all three games, and you're getting music from the first game, and then
the life bars,
then he switches, it's just a great nostalgia thing, and it's just an epic final boss. But I was joking with my girlfriend at the time because I talked about it last week how I was stuck on the boss, and it was CQC and all that, and then I died to Liquid a couple times on top of this, and I go, am I really going to get stuck on both Metal Gear Solid 3 and 4 because of fucking fist fights? Really?
Yep. Apparently you did.
For a little bit, but I get through it, and I loved it, and of course, near the end where it's just,
it's two old guys just throwing haymakers because that's all they got left.
If you wanted to let Liquid get a punch in, you could just do like that old school WWE thing where Solid would do a punch and you cheer, and then Liquid do a punch and you could boo. And you just kind of go back and forth, or you could just keep mashing the button and win the fight very easily. But it's a great way to end that storyline. It's just mano a mano on top of the submarine and just fisticuffs.
Yeah. So, you finally beat him. He passes, and then it's basically cuts to the after effects of the system being shut down, where everybody's still kind of, doing their thing and trying to recover from all the horrors of war, as Otacon monologues about, how the world's going to be different now. And then it cuts to Snake in the graveyard with his operator gun. And he puts the gun in his mouth, and he pulls the trigger, gunshot is heard, and we fade to black. Now, the reason why he's doing this is because Naomi told him all the way back in Act 2, the fox dye in his body was mutating, to the point where within 6 months, he was going to basically be a walking weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Because fox dye would no longer know who was the target and who wasn't, it would just infect everybody, and everybody would die. So he's like, well, I need to die. So he goes to the boss's gravesite with every intention of killing himself, and he seems to have done it, and the credits start rolling, and you're like, wow, they really had the balls to do that. And you get down through the first little bit of the credits, and the voice actors start rolling, and then all of a sudden, a name pops up.
Well, you skipped the part. You skipped the whole marriage. And the really sad scene of Emmerich going, Snake
had a hard life.
He had a hard life, and, he needs some time, and all of this about...
Yeah.
And Sonny's asking if we're going to see him again. I loved that scene.
Yeah. I just also remember that scene for Drebin getting shit-faced.
Yeah. Because now the nanomachines are gone, so now he's actually tasting the alcohol.
Yeah.
But I like that scene. It was just, it really helped add to...
Things are going to change, yeah.
Well, not even that. It was just his speech and then what we see Snake do really worked so well together and made you go... Oh my god! Because now it's like, well, Hal knows what he's doing, and he doesn't want to tell anybody, and just that whole scene is just so powerful. And then like you said, they go through the credits with all the names of all the actors and stuff, and then there's a space And they show the name
Big Boss, played
Yes.
by John Seigan. Or I probably butchered that last name, but the voice actor for Solidus from Metal Gear Solid 2. And it got, and like they sell this to the hilt. Like, they stop the music, like a drama chord plays, and, you know, you see Big Boss. And he shows up in the graveyard and basically stops Snake, and at this point, the debriefing begins, basically. Mm-hmm. And, Big Boss explains, you know, how the Patriots got started, you know, and how him and Zero kind of fell out of favor with each other.
And how he faked his death, and
yeah,
how they were using Solidus's body to trick them, and
yeah,
basically tying up all the loose ends that were left.
Yeah, because and it's especially obvious that this was to tie up all loose ends when you consider the original ending for this game was Snake and Otacon turned themselves in and were tried and executed for terrorism, as the Here's to You played, the Sacco and Vanzetti song.
I'm glad that didn't happen. That was
yeah, well, so was the staff, because Kojima pitched that, and his writing staff literally went on strike until, like, the production staff literally went on strike until he promised to change the ending of the game.
Yeah,
because they were both like, nope.
I mean, I understand him killing himself. That would have been a very powerful end. Mm-hmm. This also, I think, worked out great. Mm-hmm. Where, you know, the boss brings, or the Big Boss brings out Zero, who's 107-year-old vegetable now, and pulls the plug, which is like so anticlimactic for what they see. Like I said, I want to know that story, because they make Zero to seem like this terrible asshole after a while. I mean, he's there and he's helping you in 3, and then he turns into such enemy, and he creates the Patriots and all this evilness, and then he dies by you pulling the cord.
Yeah.
So it was whatever, and then Big Boss has now been hit by your new form of Fox Die, and he knew it was going to happen anyways, but he wanted to die next to the boss and you know, do all of that. So that was a great scene. Go out on his terms. And I liked...
he also tells... sorry, go ahead.
I liked, you know, when Solid gives him the cigar that has fallen out of his mouth and lights it for him, and all. It's just...
like, starts it.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
Yeah. And then Big Boss also tells Snake, hey, you're the first Fox Die that you were worried about is no longer going to do that. So you're fine on that one. The new one in you is what's killing me right now, but it's not going to degrade for a while, so you've got a bit more time.
Yeah.
You're going to die from the rapid aging now, but you should do it before the new Fox Die becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So you still have time left, which, you know, again, a nice little, you know, yeah, he's still going to die relatively soon, but at least he can do it, you know, peacefully instead of violently.
Yeah.
So a lot of people reacted negatively to this ending because a lot of the flack that Metal Gear Solid 4 gets is its cutscenes. And to an extent I can understand that, because especially Act 3, which is literally the entire second half of it, is almost 90% cutscene, including a point where you have a solid 20 minutes of talking, a save point, and then another solid 20 minutes of talking.
But that's Metal Gear Solid. And I love the fact that it was cutscene and not Kodak message.
True.
Like, you actually get to see things.
Although, a lot of the cutscenes in Metal Gear Solid 4 were of the, you know, pictures flying by variety instead of the, you know, acted out variety.
No, I also get that too.
Yep. So...
yes, the cutscenes in this are very long.
Yes.
Especially the end. That whole end cutscene takes forever.
Yes. Like, I remember when... I was actually there when you beat the game for the first time. And, you know, I walked in, I basically walked into the Big Boss stuff happening. And got to see your reaction. And we were both sitting there, and we were watching this cutscene, and I had no idea what was going on because I hadn't seen the rest of the story yet, at this point. And you're just sitting there, and you're getting increasingly more frustrated. Because we were there to do something else, and we wanted to go do that, but this cutscene was just not fucking ending. And I just remember your reaction to this day, because at one point you basically just said, "Oh, fucking die already!"
Yeah, well, yeah, it was just one of those things. I do actually remember that now that you brought that up. It was like, again, I love this story. I love everything about it. But when you have something to do,
yeah,
and Big Boss in this scene just goes, "Okay, I'm gonna die now.
Oh wait,
but first
minutes,
I gotta do this. All right, now I'm gonna die. I'm gonna go over here. No, wait, I'm gonna smoke a cigar and talk for." It was like, just goddamn it. But I mean, being able to watch it now and having time, it was.
Yeah.
I understand the cutscenes are long, okay? But I don't want it. To me, it doesn't take away from how amazing this game is. This game, to me, takes everything that was wonderful about the first Metal Gear Solid games and fixes it with a camera you can control and a character that works better. And to me, it's just the controls and the camera work so much better in this than the other three games because of limitations. I don't want to say that. Where it was so much more playable for me. And I think it shows in my stats that, I felt like I could sneak around easier and you can do all the stuff. Of course, I think the Drebin stuff padded the game a little, made it a little easier and all that. But to me, this is the essential Metal Gear game. You have your crazy long cutscenes, you have your over-the-top story, you have your ridiculous characters and who have terrible backstories, especially the women. But it's the great controls and the way everything works that I think make it better than 3. I know 3 gets a lot of love because of how great it is, and it's an awesome game, but I also think 3 gets extra love because it came after 2, and 2 got all the backlash, and it was like, okay, here, you can have this.
Yeah.
So that's why I love 4 more than 3.
So, real quick, because we've run over long on this one.
No, we're right on time. What are you talking about? Hour and a half.
Oh, wow. Okay. Felt longer. Anyway, real quick, now that we've gotten through, we've gotten to the point where next episode we're getting into games that, for the most part, neither of us has beaten. You've beaten Ground Zeroes, I know that much.
Yes.
But neither of us has really played much of Revengeance or Peace Walker. So at this point, I think it would be a nice little step. What are your rankings for the 6 games we've played so far?
Oh, for the 6. Goodness.
Well, I suppose we could probably limit to just the Solid series.
Good. No, it's good because it makes you really think. Like if Metal Gear 2 could really pass one of these games, and we kind of talked about it last week when I was telling you that 3 and the first one were pretty close to me. Obviously, Metal Gear Solid 4 is my favorite. And then I'd probably put 3 above 1 just slightly. 1 has way more nostalgia for me. But as far as the better game, I do have to give it to 3 because it takes everything from 1 and makes it better. And obviously the jungle element and the camo and all that just makes it great. On top of it has probably my favorite boss fight with the end. It was just amazing. So I'll put that second. Metal Gear Solid 1 would be third. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put Metal Gear Solid 2 fourth ahead of both the Metal Gear games.
Okay.
I know it gets a lot of backlash, and I loved Metal Gear 2. I mean, especially because it was the first time playing it, and especially for in its day how wonderful it was and how much stuff they could add to it. But I didn't have the backlash on it as everyone else did, and I think putting it below one of the Metal Gear games would prove otherwise, I guess. So I'll keep that fourth, and then Metal Gear 2, and then the original Metal Gear.
That's basically about where I'm going to go with it. The only change I'm going to make is I'm going to flip-flop 3 and 4.
I figured.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that 4 perfected everything control-wise. There were still kind of a few minor annoyances. It may have just been muscle memory for me, but the fact that Metal Gear Solid 4 switched to what admittedly is now the standard for shooting by using the triggers, it still took me a while to readjust to that because I went into it going, Metal Gear Solid game, okay, you use the square button to shoot.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, sort of thing.
I will say, actually, with those controls, you actually brought up a good point with that. And I wish I would have ever fixed it, but I just kept going, no, these were the default controls, I'm going to get used to them. I didn't like that it was L1 and R1. Because you're so used to not Metal Gear games, it's going to be the trigger buttons.
Yeah, the
and
actual triggers.
When trying to get off the solid eye with L2, at times it wouldn't want to take it, or it would just change it or whatever. So I should have changed it, but just the default controls were a little wonky.
Yep. Yeah, that would be about my main complaint too. So just to quick recap, my list would be Snake Eater, Guns of the Patriots, Metal Gear Solid 1, Sons of Liberty, and then Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake and the original Metal Gear. Bringing up the back at 6, it's still a pretty darn good game in its own right, though.
So, kind of taking this and pushing it forward a little bit, as you said, I'm the only one that's played Ground Zeroes, and it's not much of a game. Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as lengthwise, or, like, breaking stuff. It's just giving you an idea of what we're expecting in 5. But what do you think any of these 3 games that you will be playing for our next podcast, you think any of them will really top, like, those top 3?
From what I've heard, Peace Walker can get up there. Revengeance, I've actually started playing Revengeance a little bit, and while it's not, it's not bad, I can already tell I'm not going to be over the moon about it by the time I finish. And then Ground Zeroes, of course, is, I almost want to call Ground Zeroes just the prologue, well, a lot of people already are. Ground Zeroes is to the Phantom Pain what the Tanker chapter is to Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kojima's basically said that.
Yeah. So, so I would probably, bunch together Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain in the list, which means we're going to be waiting a while for that because I still don't have a PS4.
And on top of that, like, we're not going to add it to our Backlog Busting Project list just because, again, Kojima's even said it's a super long game.
Yeah.
So there might be a way for me to chart my progress on it in a different form on the site. But as far as it being a project game, maybe
probably not going to happen for a while.
Maybe down the line as a West game, because then hopefully by then I'll have beaten it, and I will give him an idea of how long it would take him to beat it. But we do have some awesome games coming up on top of it.
Yeah.
So expect updates from me, I guess, for Metal Gear Solid 5. But
yeah.
So just real quick, I know now we are kind of hitting that hour and 30-minute time period. Just curious, I've been doing these top 10s, and it's been kind of my view. I just want your top 3 boss fights and your top 3 moments, because I did boss fights last week. I'm doing moments this week. I'm just curious yours, just to put you on the spot real quick, Wes. So give me your top 3 boss fights first.
Boss fights, I'd probably have to go the end, number 1. Let's see here. Fuck. The end, and then Liquid Ocelot, and then the boss.
Liquid Ocelot being
the final fight in Metal Gear Solid 4.
Okay.
And then moment-wise, I'd probably have to go. Number 1 would be the microwave tunnel. Number 2 would be having to pull the trigger on the boss in Metal Gear Solid 3. Mm-hmm. And then, third, oh man. Third would probably be the, I've got so many different ones running around my head right now.
I know,
it's kind of hard to choose.
See, I'm getting your option on this because I haven't done this top 10 list yet. So I'm trying to sneak ideas from you, sir. Yeah. You're not giving me any.
Yeah.
But that's the great thing is because, through these 6 games that we played, there have been awesome moments. Mm-hmm. So many of them. And we've both said, we're both great fans of the series. If you never played any of it, we definitely recommend it. Mm-hmm. For sure. All of them. I don't think there's a single game I would say not play, except for maybe the first Metal Gear. Just because it might be a little difficult to play these days. But other than that, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm excited for next week's podcast when we get to talk about 3 games I've never played before, really. Yeah. And we'll just throw it out there. We're recording this a bit earlier because I'm headed off to Texas for a couple weeks.
Yeah, you're going to RTX.
I'm going to RTX,
your girlfriend's
which
family.
I will have been there already by the time this comes out, but I'm excited during that trip to play Peace Walker. That's my travel game, and I'm kind of with you where I think it may be able to top 3 just from everything I've heard about it, and it's back in...
Well, because Peace Walker, when it came out, Kojima basically said, if this were on a console, it would be Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
4, right? It came out before 4.
No, Peace Walker came out after 4.
Oh, alright.
Yeah. It might have been, in development around the same time as 4, but it came out after 4 did.
Okay.
So, Randy's going to RTX. We're going to finish off Metal Gear Month next week with Revengeance, Peace Walker, and Ground Zeroes. That one's probably gonna run. That one might run a little long, but we shall see. So we shall see, and we shall see you next mission.
Yeah, one mission to go.
Yep.